Hey, this is the World Advice Channel too. What I want to talk about today is a topic of why black people should not be ashamed because of slavery. So for this video, I'll list two reasons why we shouldn't be embarrassed because of slavery. Which obviously slavery as a whole has been a topic of embarrassment as well as that of humiliation for black people who are in the African diaspora. And for that very reason, I'll discuss through this video why we shouldn't be embarrassed because of slavery. So now I mentioned that, let's get started. So when it comes to the topic of why black people shouldn't be embarrassed because of slavery, the first reason why is to realize that there were times in the past we did fight back against the Europeans, okay? Not all of us just simply stood there and just received whips and humiliations and beatings and so on and so forth, and just took the shit. There's many cases of actually successful African rebellions that happened in the New World against the colonial overmasters, colonial whatever, slave traders, whatever to say. And that's not to mention the fact of the matter that in Africa as well, every single time, at least from what I'm aware, before the 1800s started, okay, every single time Africans were actually unified against fighting against Europeans, every single time, the Europeans always had a more massive casualty rate than that of the Africans. Every single time, for that matter, okay? Because they knew the land, you know, better than the Europeans. Um, and not just they knew the land better than the Europeans. They had highly skilled warriors, and of course, no surprise, they used their head. So that's the truth of the matter. At least when they were actually trying. If they were not actually trying, as the fact that they some Africans did sell other Africans in slavery, um, then you can clearly see what the end results were in the end of the day. They're easy to take over. But the ones who did fight back, you see how well they did. And that's simply the truth of the matter, to put it bluntly. So that's what I'm trying to get across here. Because even though people might say, well, that's petty and useless, or what does that matter? What does that mean for anything? Well, it's what you refer to as just using common sense as an equalizer, okay? Because when you look at the things that you have actually fought back, even if it's not that amazing or that big, it at least kind of equalizes things instead of just hearing one side of the story with people like you losing. Because the truth of the matter is, okay, when you look at things that at least show people who fought back and did a good job in fighting back, it at least makes you feel some sort of possibility that, oh my gosh, not only is there some cool ass history that can be covered, but also as well, it shows that if something like that were to happen again, which is very unlikely, okay, but if it were to happen again, just like some of our ancestors fought back, we obviously have the ability to fight back too. As the saying goes, that anyone who's familiar with Black history and so on and so forth goes, a person who doesn't know their history has no future, um you know has no future or something. The truth of the matter is, even though it's in part wrong, the truth of the matter is that to create your own, people who don't know their history, the way I look at it, they can create their own future, but it's just extremely freaking hard to do it. So the point is that when you look back at your history of things that people like you already accomplished and so on and so forth, it makes it a hell of a lot easier for you to realize, you know what, if they did that once, we could do that again. Versus just simply saying, oh, no one did it before, so we're just gonna have to do everything from scratch. And that's the way I look at it, to put it bluntly. Okay, that is the truth of the matter. So, so that's why it's positive to know about the times we did fight back, and there was a bunch, way more than they covered. Actually, the Europeans didn't document it because they think it would encourage greater revolts or rebellions, and that's exactly the truth. But there was a lot more, and it was actually quite constant, a lot more common than people would imagine or want to believe it happened for that matter, okay? Because the truth of the matter is, who just wants to spend their time hearing history about people like you who look like you getting their asses whooped, okay? Specifically when some of those people in those images might actually be direct examples of people of your actual direct ancestors. And, I know a lot of white people say, oh, well, you two wrongs don't make a right, but that's so fucking stupid. It's not a case of saying, oh, I hate white people. It's a case of taking pride in my history and my heritage. Why the hell do I just want to hear things about my people getting beaten the shit out of all the fucking time? And that's what I'm trying to say here. Okay. And that's really what I'm trying to get across here. Okay. And that's my first point. Okay. Now, the second point I want to get across here, aside from that, of why black people shouldn't be embarrassed because of slavery, the second point and the last point is that what happened in slavery happened a long time ago. Okay, it ended over 100 plus years ago at this point. What matters most at this point, as black people, we realize, to put it bluntly, is that black people, we have the ability to, of course, think towards a future. Okay, because believe it or not, there's a lot of ideas and inventions that you can think of that have never been thought of and never been developed for that matter, okay? If you can come up with those new ideas and all that type of stuff though, to put it bluntly, you might be quite surprised that white people cannot say shit about you anymore. Because pretty much some of white supremacy just consists of saying that black people are stupid and we never accomplish anything. But the thing is, since they're, I mean, you know, since obviously, as I'm certain we're all aware, we're the most powerful species on the planet, so obviously we're not going to go away anytime soon. And as well as the fact that there's so much technological development that needs to be done, common sense would indicate there is quite a lot of time and quite a lot of room as well for a black person to invent something that will change the world and create a new future for us. And that's what I'm trying to say. That's why I want to hear that shit about, oh, well, everything that's been done has already been thought of, that racist people say. I realize, yes, this is complete bullshit, because there is still room for improvement. There's still um, ideas that haven't been thought of yet. There's still, um, smartphones that could be stronger. Maybe smartphones that you could use on the moon and play it back to Earth. Maybe there could be ideas that could be developed, like electric cars. You don't know if a black person might be the person who developed electric cars, and not just electric cars like Elon Musk's version of electric cars. We're talking about completely electric cars, that actually work well. Or if it's not that, it could be someone who figured out a way to create artificial gravity for spaceships, yada, 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 yada. There's still a lot of ideas that haven't been developed yet, so maybe a black person can come up with that and change the world forever. There's a lot of room and a lot more time than you'd imagine for there to be new inventions that will change the world. So that is exactly what I have to say for that. Um, a topic of should black people be embarrassed because of slavery? Because there is not only is there still interesting African history out there, secondly, there's a lot of room for us to come up with a new idea that improves and changes how we see the world, how the world is for that matter, okay? So, in short, we shouldn't be embarrassed because of slavery. We can't let that define us and last forever. And that is what I have to say for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And just remember, if you like this video and videos like this, remember to sum this video up and hit the subscribe button. And this is all I have to say, and simply put it on out. So, bye.